In the days after federal agents killed 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Preddy, a growing number of Republicans in Congress have publicly called for an investigation into the shooting. And let's be clear, there is a difference between paying lip service to a full and impartial investigation and making sure one actually happens. Because if Republicans truly want to see a serious investigation, they should start being more specific and far more vocal about how woefully inadequate the Trump administration has handled the investigation into Alex Preddy's killing so far. Today, Amos Now had exclusive reporting that Trump's Justice Department has decided not to open a civil rights investigation into the killing of Alex Preddy at this time. Instead, it will be handled by two units of the Department of Homeland Security. A Customs and Border Protection office will look into whether its own officers followed agency policy in the shooting, while Homeland Security investigations will look at whether Preddy broke any laws. Now, do you trust this Department of Homeland Security to investigate itself? A department whose leadership has repeatedly been caught lying over the last several weeks. A department whose leadership immediately and falsely labeled Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist. Do you trust those guys to investigate their own? I sure don't. Joining me now is former DHS Secretary under President Obama, Jeh Johnson. It's great to see you. You are one of my favorite people to talk to always, but certainly when it's just time to remind people what is normal, what is not normal as of the things that we are seeing out there. So I would just note, in addition to what I just laid out, I also want to point to the fact that the federal agents are still not sharing information or evidence with state investigators in Minnesota. Which is an important thing, and that information could certainly be helpful. But I just kind of laid out what investigations are happening and which ones are not happening. Mm-hmm. Give us your take on how the administration is handling this investigation at this point.
Well, Jen, in your last segment, you sort of snatched the words out of my mouth. Even in normal circumstances, a government agency cannot investigate itself unless it has a truly independent inspector general to start such an investigation. What should happen here, if we were dealing in normal circumstances, the normal administration, is a horrific incident like the shooting of Renee Good or Alex Preddy occurs. The matter is referred to the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. The Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice stood up for this. One of the very reasons they were stood up in the first place. Investigators from the Department of Justice, likely the FBI, along with investigators from the Department of Homeland Security, and probably along with local law enforcement, simply for credibility and accountability, because local law enforcement very often has the best leads, has the most familiarity with the community, all working together to try to get to a particular result, wherever the evidence leads them. And one of the other facets of a truly independent investigation is you don't have government leaders prejudging what has happened within moments of the incident. In the military, I used to be the general counsel of the Department of Defense. It's called undue command influence, where you have a commander or a leader who is prejudging what should happen in the investigation, which then puts pressure on the subordinates to come out a certain way. And so to say, for the Department of Justice to say, well, we're going to leave it up to DHS to investigate itself, even though DHS doesn't have prosecutors, is not an entirely satisfactory position to take here. We know two people are dead who didn't have to die. Let's start with that.
Yeah. That's the most important part. One of the things that I was speaking with the Hennepin County Attorney, Marianne Moriarty, about this last week, and it stuck with me, that she was saying, the FBI stopped their investigation pretty early. They are doing their own investigation on the ground. She has the ability, of course, to move forward with charges, but they're not getting the partnership from the federal level that they would under normal circumstances. What is the impact of that? They have the authority to move forward, but what about resources and other things? How is that hurting them on the ground, I guess I should say?
Well, I don't know how you have two parallel investigations, because somebody's got to have custody of the evidence. Somebody's got to be interviewing the witnesses, hopefully only one at a time. To me, having parallel investigations by the feds, by local law enforcement, is most unfortunate. It's counterproductive. It'll be controversial and may likely lead to conflicting results. What happens then? So, you were talking about Tom Homan earlier. Tom Homan used to work for me, and he's very, very definitely pro-enforcement. But in this group, he may be the more reasonable person in the bunch. He's career law enforcement. I noted his statement after Renee Goods shooting. Let's see where the investigation comes out. Educated speculation is the president sent him to Minneapolis to try to calm things down. And I hope that out of that comes some sort of agreement about how the investigations here should proceed.
I think that's what everyone hopes for. I think the skepticism I and others have, and we will see, is that since he worked for you a long time ago, he was a big part of child separation. He said some very negative things about immigrants. He's allegedly took a bribe. We will see. Everybody wants it to be de-escalated. Secretary Jeh Johnson, thank you so much for being here with me tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.